What's up, people? Welcome back to T's Time. I'm TJ. Today we're gonna do our rear brakes. We did the front brakes, so today we're doing the rear. So I already got started. I got the vehicle jacked up in the rear. As you can see, right there, they're on jack stands. And I did take the wheels off. I wanted to make sure I had the correct rotor, because there are like different variances to the rotor, the bolt pattern. So this is my rotor right here. And if you can actually see like those cracking, like going around the rotor, like if you see any hot spots, like you can see it's been hot, and then like just the cracks and stuff, it needs to be replaced. And I was just judging that off of, like, I did the front and I still was feeling like a little pulsation, and then just based off of like how the front were worn, and like it hasn't had like a brake job. I believe all this is original. So like I went ahead and ordered the rotor right here. The part number did match up on the DTNA network, but it's not the right one because there's a 6-bolt on the vehicle right now, and that just didn't match. So I called Napa and I did a parts run already, and I got back like just in time. I had to take the bike to go get rotors. So if you do ride a bike and you're looking for like some saddlebags, if you can see that right there, they're waterproof, they're good, and as you can see, it can hold quite a bit of weight. So I have a rotor on each side, and they're monsters. Cool. So this is the correct rotor. As you can see, 6 bolts right there that mount that on, compared compared to these rotors. As you can see, is that 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So that's 10 bolt, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah, 10 bolt versus 6. So that one matched up, and yeah. So thankfully they had those in stock, so I didn't have to order them, especially since I already like took stuff apart, so I'd have to put it back together, just wait for parts to show up. So I could continue with that. And I do have like wheel bearing and bearing races to replace again, which I can do. And I do have the seal for the inner and outer. So when you're taking all this stuff apart, because you have to take the hub off to get to the rotor, you might as well, since you're in there, just replace like all of that stuff. And it is a oil hub, so yeah, so make sure your seals are good, like if you are reusing stuff, so you don't have leaks. But I'm gonna get into it. Like you saw, jack up your vehicle, be safe. Take your wheel off, and let me show you the lug nuts to actually like hold the wheels on. It's like a 2-piece because it's for the dually. So these right here are the inner ones right here. So these will go on, let's see, these will go on like so. So like when you're taking them off, there will be a wheel here. This will go on to hold that wheel down, and then you'll put your other wheel on and use this lug nut to secure the outside one. So you're torquing 2 sets of wheels when you do that. So just this comes off first, the wheel comes off, then this comes out, then the other wheel will come off. And this is the hub seal, the front one. So cabin tray to catch like whatever fluid's going to come out of that. You are going to lose some, but you take that off, and then there's like an axle nut that you have to take off this whole assembly. But before you do that, remove your caliper and make sure you have it safely secure so it's not hanging on the brake line. But you take that off, you take off this little cover right here, oil leak, take off the big axle nut out, and then take off this whole assembly, and then disassemble those bolts right there that hold the rotor on, and put all that back together and torque it up and just clean everything up. And we're gonna reseal, possibly do bearings. Like I spun the wheels, they don't feel gritty, but like I just like to do stuff like since I'm in there, so I'd rather just do it now versus wait for it to go bad then go ahead and replace it. I'm just gonna replace everything like now. So most of the talking has been done right now. For the front brakes, you could check out the link up top right here if you want to check out how I did the front brakes. But like the rears are just a little different because the fronts were grease pack bearings, the rear are oil hubs. So like you feel the differential, and I'm gonna change that fluid also. I have a bunch of gear oil right there. That's what I'm gonna fill in. And I do have like an additive I'm gonna put in there, but like I'm just gonna change the fluid also because it's been, I think, 2 years now anyway since I did like the rear differential fluid. So I'm just gonna replace all that. So it's gonna have fresh fluid, fresh seals, fresh brake pads, fresh rotors, bearings. We'll be good to go. And right now it's at 190,000 miles. So hopefully I should have to touch them again for another 189, 90,000 miles, just depending on driving. If you get them hot, just like most people just slam on the brakes, but like those are wear items. So take that in mind. Like if you don't have to replace them, but you don't mind paying people to do them, ease up on the brakes, like the wear items, just, you know, pace yourself. But enough talking, let's get into it. I'm gonna show you me breaking down the assembly and get everything disassembled and reassembled. And I'll try to put like some torque specs and stuff like on there just to kind of help you. It kind of just depends on like bolt sizes. So like you have like a cross reference for like bolts and stuff like that. Go off of that, or your vehicle's manufacturer or your repair manual. But like I always like to like torque important bolts, like especially like brakes and stuff like that. You want to try to torque them. You don't want to do like good enough and not be good enough and stuff fall apart. But stay tuned, enjoy. So this is the new inner seal, wheel seal. In order to get the old one out, I'm gonna use the bearing that's in there and beat it from the outside in to push that out, so it gets that out. And then once I have all that out, I'm just gonna clean everything up and reassemble. And I also have to get the bearing race out. So if you remember from the front wheel bearings or brake job that I did, I used a wheel bearing press kit to like remove that. It's also a removal tool. So I'm gonna beat this out from the inside. Make sure you have the right parts. So when you are disassembling, don't just destroy stuff. You know, do it right. Don't just damage stuff in case you have to like put it back together just for a little bit. That's the inner wheel seal right here. I have to remove that, so I'm gonna beat that bearing from this side, and it should get this wheel seal out. And I'm gonna do that for both of them. And then once everything is out, we'll just clean everything up and get the bearing race out. Clean everything up like before you remove the bearing race and after. You want to make sure you get it as clean as possible. No dirt, no debris, no metal shavings. And I'll show you on the seal. On the seal, once we get that out, we'll clean that up, make sure there's no burrs, because you will have to reseal the outside of the seal. On the outside, some non-hardening sealant around the outside, just so it seals up. So you want to make sure that's clean and there's no burrs, anything, and actually keep that from leaking. And then just like a little bit of oil around the ring that actually like sits on the hub itself. Make sure you lube that up. But yeah, removal, clean, remove, clean, clean again, assemble, and just make sure everything is real clean. And then we'll also have to clean the hub, and I'm gonna just put like a nice little coating of fresh gear oil on that, just so prevent like rust and season and stuff. But you want to make sure everything is clean, both the hub and like the hub, the axles, everything. You want just like clean when you do finally assemble everything. Clean, clean, clean. That's the old inner seal. Just make sure there's like some residue that's left behind. Just get it as clean as possible. You are throwing like a bead of silicone on the new one when you put that in, so it should seal up if there is any imperfections. If there are any imperfections, that should take care of that. And this is the inner bearing. Make sure you match up the bearings that you have, the new ones, just to make sure that they're the correct ones before you remove the bearing race, because if they aren't and these bearings are still good, you could just throw that stuff back in there. And that's 33287. And protect your threads. I put the nuts back on to protect the threads on the studs, so you don't damage those. Like if you do damage like these nuts, you can replace those easier than actually trying to replace these studs. So keep that in mind. Like if you're going to be banging on it or using the impact or whatever, like if this is on the other side, just protect those threads. Save yourself a headache. All right, so those rotors were not the correct rotors, the new 6-bolt ones. So I like measured, I'm gonna have to order those. So we're at a standstill for that, but right now I'm gonna do the bearing race, and I'm gonna do the wheel bearings also. I have my wheel bearing press kit here. I'm not gonna show you me removing those. Just go back to when I did the front brakes and wheel bearing video. That has all of that. It's the same thing, same principle with removing this, but I'm not gonna record it. I'm just gonna break this stuff down. But like when I do get like the rotors back, I'm gonna show you assembly and stuff like that. But yeah, delays, life happens. So we ordered, so we're at rotor set number 3 we're trying right now. So I got to look at a bunch of rotors. I guess that's the plus. But stay tuned, we'll be back. We'll do the install, we'll get the right rotor, the correct rotors, and we'll get this finished. But everything else is correct. I do have the correct bearing race, the correct wheel bearings, the wheel seals, all that stuff is correct. So the only thing that's holding me up right now will be the rotor. So when that stuff comes, we'll get it done. So stay tuned. All right, we're back. Third time's a charm. I actually have the correct rotor this time. This is the rotor, the correct rotor. It matches up with the old rotor, and I know that it matches up with the old rotor because I put the new rotor on the hub just to see everything lines up. So I have to go ahead, I have to torque all these bolts down. It's good practice. Look up your vehicle, depending on your vehicle, depending on the bolts and the grade, check the torque specs for those bolts and torque them down correctly. I'm gonna do like a star pattern. I'm just gonna go boom, 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 back and forth. And I'm gonna not do like the final torque. I'm gonna just like slowly work my way up to the final torque. Probably do it in sequences of like 3, just to get that torqued. So we have to torque that. We have to torque our caliper mounting bolts. We have to put our hub on. Get that to spec. I believe it's 1/1000 to 5/1000 of an inch of wheel free play, end play, in and out. So we have to get that set, and then we have to mount our actual, like our axle back to the hub and have that seal on the outside. So that's where we're at right now. I'm just happy we have the right part, so we can get everything going, get this thing back on the road. So that's where we're at now. So enjoy. And that's bright. And bada boom, bada bang, it's in, it's installed, it's finished. Both sides are done. Just go ahead, like I saved this outside hub seal cover for last, just because there's like a hubcap mounting bracket that wouldn't allow the rims to fit over, so I saved that part for last. But just go ahead and add more fluid if you're not changing your fluid. I'm going to change my fluids, so I'm about to just drain the diff and stuff like that. I might save that for like another video. But drain your fluids and make sure that your fluids are topped off when you do drain them. You did lose a little bit of oil in the hubs. So depending on the type, like if there's like a little cover on the outside where you can fill from the outside, do that. But if you can't, you have to fill the diff, lift one side about 8 inches and let it like seep probably for like a good 8 minutes, 10 minutes, and then do the same thing for the other side once it's topped off. So yes, so I'm glad that's done. It took 3 sets of rotors to find the correct rotor. But this is the other side. This side's done. These are the original rotors. I have to return those. But yeah, it's just chasing down part numbers have been like, it hasn't been like horrible like with the van. A lot of things do match up. When I look up on the, was it a DTNA network, usually the part numbers match up pretty well. It's just like for this and just like a couple like small things, but just double check your part numbers. And if you can, if you do have time, take the parts off beforehand so you can measure and get the part numbers off of the parts that you're replacing. If you can, if you're not driving the vehicle, that'll make your life a lot easier. But I've been driving it and like I just thought like the part numbers should match up, but they didn't. So with that being said, to the next video, ignoring problems won't make them go away. Handle your business. Peace, TJ.